But listen, guys, we got a whole hell of a lot to get to here today. So we're going to get started right off the top with this. Now, as many of you guys know, CW's Warner Brothers DC shows, the Arrowverse as we call it, every year, what they've been doing as a tradition ever since The Flash started is that they've been doing a crossover event every year. Last year was one of my favorite things on TV all year. Their big crossover event, which crossed over Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, they called Crisis on Earth X. And it was just all kinds of fun. It was great. It was probably the best thing on the CW all year. And certainly the best thing they did with any of their television shows. Anyway, we're coming into this year now. We know there's another crossover event coming starting December 9th. Now, this one, though, is not going to include the Legends of Tomorrow. It's just going to be a 3-night event. It's going to be Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl crossover, and they're calling it Elseworlds. Now, one of the things that we've known about this whole Elseworlds crossover is the fact that they were going to be introducing Batwoman in it. And a brand new teaser for Elseworlds dropped today that gave us our first video footage of Batwoman. But I'm going to tell you what, the most interesting thing to me about this new teaser that dropped today wasn't the fact that we got our first look at Batwoman, although she looks good. I mean, yeah, she looks good, and it was good to see her in video form. That was nice. But my favorite and I think most interesting part of this teaser was, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was the first time ever in any of the Arrowverse shows where Batman is actually referenced. So you hear them talking about Batman throughout. It goes, Batman's an urban myth. He's a legend, blah, blah, blah. And then they finally come across Batwoman. It's like, that's not Batman. And it's got Batwoman there. So yes, it's great that we get our first look at Batwoman. That's cool. But I just thought, again, the bigger wall that they broke through here was actually openly referencing Batman, which is something they had never really done before. So that raises some obvious questions. Could they, at some point in the Arrowverse, introduce a Batman? Now, for a long time, we've known that Batman was off limits to TV. That they want to be very protective of that character. Why they stopped being protective of Superman, I have no idea. They should have stayed protective of Superman because they butchered him. Anyway, they wanted to stay protective of Batman. They don't want him showing up on TV, but now they're referencing him and stuff like that. What do you guys think? Do you think at some point we could see Batman actually show up in this CW Arrowverse? And then to the more immediate question, we know they're kind of using this crossover Elseworlds event kind of as a test run for the Batwoman character being played by Ruby Rose. And we know that if things go well with Elseworlds, CW has an eye on actually launching a Batwoman show to join this lineup of the CW shows. That it also includes, on top of all the ones we've already mentioned, Black Lightning's in there now. I can't help but wonder if maybe they're going to work in Black Lightning into next year's crossover event, but will they actually start launching a Batwoman show? We'll get a better idea of that once we see how the audience reacts to her. Once again, this Arrowverse crossover event called Elseworld starts on December 9th, then goes on the 10th, and then the 11th is when it concludes. So we'll have to keep our eyes open for that.